We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. We are on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the culture of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across the nation.
Namaskar and welcome everyone. We are bringing the third episode or segment of crime prevention today. It is called vehicle crime. It is all related to how you can keep your vehicles safe in the city, in your neighborhood. So welcome Raj, Aaron and Jenny. We are here to discuss about vehicle crime today. My first question to Raj, what can drivers do to stay alert and safe when driving after dark?
All right. See, the important thing is people do shift work and things like that. So if you're going to a location, just plan your route early in advance. If you're going to an unknown location especially. And then the other important thing is know where the 24-hour fuel station is, just in case you have to refuel at some point in time. Again, good to know the emergency contact details, just in case. I know Jenny mentioned about Emergency Plus app and things like that. That really helps if you're stranded at a place where you don't know where it is, you've got the Emergency Plus, you know the location if you're calling 000, that's most important. And then if someone is asking for a lift in the middle of the night, don't give lift to strangers at all. Other important things would be, especially if you're at traffic lights, make sure you roll the windows all the way up, lock your cars, do all those basic things, and then if there is an emergency, by all means, depending on what it is, if you need to reach out, reach us, and then we will see what we can do for you. So these are the basic stuff that I would recommend, but again, it's important to be aware of your situation and things like that as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Raj. And Aaron, what are the most effective ways to prevent car theft?
It depends a lot on your own personal circumstances, what sort of car you've got, where you park your car, do you have a garage, do you take your car to work, or do you park it at the train station? There are a lot of different factors to consider. First thing I would say is to have a look at your own individual make and model and just see if it has any particular vulnerabilities. Car theft is ever evolving, and we're seeing newer technologies used to steal cars, and they can be stolen in a matter of minutes using hacking devices. These things are fairly easy and readily available, and the offenders are getting their hands on them, and then they're able to go and break into a car and plug in, and then they drive the car away. We're seeing people resort to older methods, such as using a club lock or a steering lock. So that's where you manually put it on, you lock it, you walk away, leave your car. It's a good visual deterrent as well, so any offenders or potential car thieves walk past, see the steering lock, and then they hopefully won't break into that car. It's important to lock it and make sure it's really a bright colour so that it can be seen from the outside, especially with window tinting. Believe it or not, we're starting to see a lot of cars that also might put a wheel clamp. Now this is for longer term parking. So if you're parking out the front of your house, for example, maybe you're going away for a while, people are actually clamping their own tyres. Normally that's something the sheriff's office will do, but people, to keep their car and prevent it from being stolen, they'll put a clamp so that offender cannot come along and drive it away. Again, just to reiterate, check if your car is particularly vulnerable, what those vulnerabilities are, and there's also onboard diagnostics locks that can be purchased, which will lock the port where the offenders can plug into. And we'll talk about those in greater detail in a moment.
Okay, thank you so much. JD, if a car is stolen or broken into, what should the owner do first?
Look, first, if your car's stolen or broken into, ring 000. Give us your location, let us know what's actually happened. If your car's it's been broken into but the car hasn't been stolen, we say don't touch anything because it's obviously a crime scene. What happens usually when you report the incident, we come out, we'll take the reports, and then we get in contact with our crime scene officers, and they will try and get any evidence in relation to fingerprints. They may have cut themselves when they cut the car, so DNA. So all those sort of things will help us to hopefully link the offender responded to the scene and to hopefully identify them. Obviously, if your vehicle's being taken, sometimes there's glass left on the pavement, or there may be other evidentiary things that we can gather as well. So first thing to do, ring 000, don't touch anything, and then leave it to police to gather any evidence.
The other important thing is you have to give a consent to tow. Again, speak to your insurance company in relation to that, because there's quite a bit of cost involved in relation to it. And if you give consent, we can tow the vehicle when we recover the stolen vehicle, and then we will contact the towing company and then get your car towed away and stuff like that for evidence and things like that. So that's one piece of question we always ask. But even if you forget to ask, make sure whether you give consent or not, just tell the police officer that you're speaking in relation to that.
And also contact your insurance company. Hopefully everyone's got insurance. So always those claims take a while. So contact 000, insurance company, and don't touch anything.
Yeah. How important or effective are more modern vehicle security measures such as immobilizers, GPS tracking, steering, wheel locks and alarms? Aaron?
Yep. So without repeating what I said, that certainly people are going back to a lot of those technologies. Visual deterrents do make a big difference. Immobilizers can be great. Most vehicles won't come standard with an engine immobilizer, so you can buy them aftermarket. It might be anywhere from a few $100 to a few $1,000, depending on the features that you want. The other thing is with the GPS tracking, they're a little bit easier to self-install, and then you can actually see if your car's been stolen, where it's gone. That can assist in us being able to work out where the car is and then formulating a plan to recover the car. We've got Air Wing, these sorts of things where we can track vehicles as well. But it starts with the person having that technology in the first place. So that's a really good thing. Alarms are good too. So an alarm could be that, for example, some more modern vehicles will have technology where it can film around the vehicle when you get near the vehicle, and the screen inside the vehicle will light up. So that's a really good deterrent for once someone realizes they're being recorded. And it can also notify the person through their mobile phone to say, hey, there's someone next to your car. You can then look at it live. Potentially, if they're trying to break in, you call 000. And audible alarms are less common these days. They're still somewhat of a deterrent, but they can be usually switched off fairly quickly as well. So you want to have multi-layer of protection on your vehicle.
With GPS tracking, it can be sort of disabled as well, or no?
Yeah, well, it depends on what is known about that vehicle. So if it's built into the computers, into the computer of the vehicle, somebody could potentially override that. They would need to know how, but it is possible.
Okay.
There are also other trackers that can be put onto a car in secret hidden locations. So the car thief will not necessarily know where that item has been placed. And look, having said that, we spoke about this in previous episodes just around the use of trackers for the right and wrong reasons. So this is a legitimate, proper reason. But then we see other instances, and we'll talk about this in later episodes around stalking and the like, where those things can also be used for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, sure. Janie, what steps can people take at home to reduce vehicle crime risk? For example, lighting, parking, visibility.
Yeah, I think we've touched on that already. If you do have a garage, certainly put your car in the garage. We do know that thieves do target certain types of vehicles. So if they can't see it, they can't target it when they drive around looking for a vehicle to actually steal. If you don't have a garage, park in a well-lit area. Obviously, remove all your valuables from the car, anything they might want to break in for. It can even be coins or sunglasses. So make sure you remove everything, and certainly any papers that might be used for identity theft as well. So don't leave any details of your home or personal bank details in the car as well, because that can be used for identity theft as well.
I know Janie mentioned about garage. That's a very important point. But also have someone into your home where you nominate person every day so they can look after all these things. Say, power off your garage switch every night. In that way, if it's an automatic garage and stuff like that, where they can easily open it if it's not powered off. So power it off every night. Same thing even with house security as well. I know we mentioned previously about burglary and stuff like that. If you have someone that is nominated every day, they can check to make sure that the house is locked, front door, rear door, and all the windows are locked and stuff like that. That goes a long way in preventing crime.
That's a very good point, to have a nominated person each day in the family to do that. Yeah.
Especially if you've got a young teenager, nominate that person. You're the captain of the house, and it's your job to do it. And then if they do it pretty much consistently, maybe they get a gift or something of that sort. So yeah.
Yeah, good incentive. Yeah. Are older or second-hand vehicles at risk of theft, and why, Aaron?
There certainly are certain makes and models that can be more vulnerable. Having said that, it's not just because it's old, it's going to be more likely to be targeted. We're seeing less likelihood of people sort of hot wiring cars in the old-fashioned way. It's more that they will hack into a car using more modern technologies to plug into certain ports, and then they reprogram the vehicle and drive it away. So that's not a new concept. That is for newer vehicles and older vehicles, dating back to the last 20 years or so, where they have computers and it's driven by that computer. So if you can override that, then you can sometimes drive the vehicle away. Having said that, it is worth noting, and people that have collector cars will know what they've got, and it's about the security measures that they put in place. So as I mentioned before, if your only option is to put it on the street, maybe you put a cover over it. You also need to be mindful then that it shows the public, hey, there's something under that cover. What else are you doing? Do you put a steering lock? Do you put wheel clamps? Do you have CCTV? All those things are factored into.
Yep. And how useful are dash cams for safety, evidence, and crime prevention?
See, Jenny and Aaron mentioned about a lot of things about security and stuff like that. That's one extra piece of witness. I would say it's a silent witness when it comes to driving. And also it kind of improves the driver's behavior as well. If you've got dash cam, it can work towards you and work against you as well. So you've got to do the right thing. And also the main objective is when the matter goes to court, again, if it's captured on dash cam and stuff like that, that's one extra piece of evidence, like I mentioned, where we have a point to prove in court and things like that. Mainly for ID reasons, that would be a good thing. And then again, if you've got insurance and stuff like that, it eliminates a lot of insurance fraud if you've got your dash cam. So these things are extremely important. But again, it's a luxury. If you can afford it, it's good to have dash cam and stuff like that, front and rear. But again, it's not 100% necessary. But again, if you can afford it, by all means, just put it in there just in case. You never know. Insurance especially, where if you've had an accident or something of that sort, if the other person is criticizing you, but they're in the wrong, you've got the dash cam, which you can give it to the insurance. And again, for police, it helps with that investigation as well. So all those, these are some of the benefits with dash cam footage here.
Yep. Janie, can you explain number plate thefts, how they occur and whether they are increasing these days?
Yes, we have a bit of cycles with number plate thefts, and because offenders steal number plates, they'll put on another vehicle and obviously they can't be detected, and they'll go and commit other crimes. It can happen quite easily. Look, people just unscrew your screws and then they've got the number plate to put onto another vehicle, or in some cases, they even grind it off if they have difficulty getting the actual screws out. It does go in waves. We find that because it's so easy for offenders to remove the number plates, it's an offence that happens quite often within different car parks, and because of the accessibility of number plates. To prevent it, police recommend one-way security screws, which I didn't bring with me today, but they're readily available at Bunnings. A lot of automobile stores you can get them. We call them one-way security screws because you put them in with a normal screwdriver, but you need a special device to remove them. So the only way, once they're actually on the vehicle, that an offender could get them off is to use a grinder, which is a little bit harder because it makes noise and draws attention to them. So they're an anti-theft measure for number plates, which we try and promote widely. We actually fit them ourselves at different locations and promote it at different residential buildings. We have days, we do it with Neighbourhood Watch as well, but you can do it yourself and it's very easy to do. But there are different screws for different models of cars, and that's why it's important when people get those screws, they get the right screws that fit their car.
The other thing with the number plate thefts is, so imagine if someone is stealing a Mazda number plate, which is black Mazda or whatever. If they steal a similar kind of car, which is black Mazda, they can take these number plates and put it in the other Mazda and then drive around. Unless the owner of the car where the number plate is stolen reports the matter to police, we wouldn't know that the number plates, that it's a stolen vehicle or anything of that sort. So, which is why offenders unfortunately do that. So the best thing I would say is, again, as a practice, before you get into a vehicle, make sure you check the rear and front side to make sure that the number plates are intact. If not, report to us straight away.
Yeah, good point. Stealing the same colored car or moving the number plates from one car to the other, but the same color, so it's difficult to sort of track sometimes. Yeah.
And offenders are even cloning number plates now. Yes, we were a victim one time when the police knocked on our door and said, I believe you were speeding 110 kilometres down in Northcote, and questioned my husband. I said, were you doing that? And he said, no, it wasn't me. I was at home, And later we found out our plates had been cloned. So they do that quite often now as well. So it's a bit scary when you get colleagues knocking on your door saying that your partner has done something that he hasn't.
So if you come to sell a car, then don't advertise with the registration plates when you take photos and put them online. Blur it out or just don't photograph the registration.
That's good to know. Very, very important information. Yes. So, Janie, are there particular locations or situations where vehicles are more likely to be targeted, or Aaron, one of you can answer?
Yeah, we touched on that earlier. As we said, railway stations, sometimes it's anywhere where there's a number of vehicles that can be targeted. So car parks, railway stations, because often when offenders want to commit a crime, they want a lot of reward. So there's more vehicles to break into, they can walk away usually with more items. And then certainly there's certain models of cars that some groups are targeting. So if it's out on the street, they'll find that a bit more easily when they're driving by rather than either cars in the garage. But certainly railway stations, car parks, when there's more vehicles to choose from to break into, it's pretty much prevalent where you have a lot of break-ins occurring.
Shopping centres and supermarkets, all of these, any area where there is huge number of cars.
Yeah, and there are different factors that come into play. So if it's a ground level, street level car park, we've got more eyes and people walking past and more vehicles, that can help. Multi-level car parks where there's 10, 15 floors, all cars almost on top of one another. It's a bit easier for a car thief to be a bit more anonymous when they go in there. So it's around, again, being aware of your surroundings when you go to these places. Ideally, parking where there is CCTV coverage of that area, especially if you care about your car. Might not necessarily prevent, but when it comes to catching and identifying offenders, that helps a lot as well.
You're right. So it actually, like talking about those multi-level car parks, it also comes to my mind that, personal safety is also important there because it's secluded, there may not be many people around. So your car, yes, but your personal safety isn't, you have to be really aware in such isolated places.
The other important thing is don't leave your car keys in the car as well, because if that happens, if the car is stolen away, even if you've got comprehensive insurance, the insurance is not going to cover that. So that's an important thing. So again, keep your keys with you.
These days, you don't have to use keys to start your car. So sometimes people just leave it in the car and forget about it. They forget to lock as well.
Just one other piece of technology that people are concerned about is their car getting stolen with just through the remote. So there are some technologies where you can amplify a signal to make the car believe that there's a key right next to it and then open it and potentially start the engine. It's happening more overseas, but obviously we tend to see some of those trends occur in Australia as well. Some of the things people can do is there's this thing called a Faraday bag. It's just a silver-lined foil bag. You can make them yourself. If you look online, then there's instructions quite easy to make it, or you can just buy them for $10, $15. And you put your key inside that. You might even put your phone in there if you're really concerned, like about it being cloned and your data. It will stop any signals, any external signals from being able to access it through that bag.
So having gone through all the three segments of crime prevention, I would like to ask you, what is the emergency number in Australia and what should people expect when they call it?
So 000 is all over Australia. Again, whether it's fire service, whether you need fire, ambulance or police, 000 is the number. Again, when you're calling 000 for the first and you're in an emergency or someone that is next to you in kind of an emergency, it can be nerve-wracking. It can be really hard because when you call, the operator will be asking you a lot of questions. These are some of the things that they ask you. They ask you what's the nature of the emergency, whether you need police or fire service or ambulance. Again, if you're unsure, just tell them, I'm sure. And then they ask you which state you're calling from. So you need to know where you're calling from. And the most important thing is the location that you're calling from. Yes, we can do triangulation of the phone and stuff like that. It takes a longer time, but it's important that you give us the location. So which is why when Jenny spoke about the Emergency Plus app in the previous episode, she mentioned about it because if you have the Emergency Plus app, as long as you turn on the location services on your phone, it comes up with the location straight away on the home screen. So use the app and call 000. It is about maybe 90% accurate, but it's better than not knowing the location at all. And there are like what 3 words are there. You can tell the words, or latitude, longitude is there. The location is there. You can tell the operator, this is the app I'm using and not calling 000. The operator can find out where you're calling from, and if you tell them. And then they ask you questions like whether drug, alcohol is involved, or if the person is carrying any weapon and things like that. What's the direction of travel? You would be thinking, well, I'm calling in an emergency, so why they are asking so many questions? The reason why the operator asks you so many questions is to find out if they just need to send 1 unit, whether they need to send multiple units. Sometimes they need to send multiple emergency services. Say if it's a building fire or something of that sort, they need ambulance as well. If someone is injured or if someone is really chaotic, then we need police service and things like that, which is why they ask you a lot of questions. So 000 is the number, but use the Emergency Plus app if you want to call us, 000. And then that can be the difference between a matter of life and death as well. You never know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that information. It's good to know what happens when someone calls 000 and how it should be sort of what they should be expecting. Yeah. Yeah. Janie, I do have one more question on vehicle. When somebody is driving just on a normal road or on the freeway, and we've heard, where people have thrown rocks or eggs or on the windshield, and then the driver suddenly gets really, flustered. What do I do? And they either brake or they swerve, or So what would your advice be at that point in time?
Yeah, it's a real tough one. In any situation like that, of course, you sort of panic at first, but you've always got to be aware of other vehicles around you and causing an accident. And really, that person that's thrown that rock, it's conducting endangering life because, someone can have a major accident. So, obviously try and get your bearings, try and pull off to a safe space, obviously when you're able, to assess whatever damage there might be. If it's a rock thrown, if it's an egg, don't use your window wipers because you won't be able to see. You can address that later once you come to a stop. But the main thing is just certainly, make a note of where it was, pull over when it's safe to do so, and ring 000 because obviously, if this person's thrown a rock, they might be throwing more rocks at other cars. There could be a major accident that might happen. So it's very important. Your safety first, pull over when you're able to do so. If you've got a passenger, obviously they can ring up straight away, 000, say what's actually happening. But if you're on your own, you may be able to have voice activated, ring 000, whatever, but make sure you notify police straight away because there's certain in situations like that we want to respond to before a major accident occurs.
And when that happens, turn on the hazards as well straight away.
Yes.
That way, the driver behind you, they know what's going on. They know that this car is in some sort of a bother, so they will slow it down for you.
So, for example, if somebody is driving on a quiet road and someone throws eggs on purpose to stop this driver, and because they want to, trouble them or harass them or theft again, car theft or any kind of theft. So would it be, you said you just drive to the side and stop, but that could also endanger their life by stopping because that person is wanting them to stop to further, escalate.
Yeah, it can happen in rare occasions like road rage and things like that. And we usually say to someone, if that's the case, you drive to somewhere else where people are or there's other people around. Don't get out of the car, lock your windows, call 000. If you're on a remote road, you've got to try and do that when you're safe to do so. Obviously, if there is damage to your car, you've got eggs you can't see, you might have to pull over to clean it so you can keep driving. If you can keep driving and it is a matter of road rage, keep driving until you can get a place where other people are around. So as you say, every situation's different. You have to assess what the circumstances are. If someone's throwing rocks from a bridge, they're not obviously going to come and chase you. But if someone has actually been, in a car behind or they're trailing you, that's a situation of road rage. So you've got to take a different approach in relation to that. So every situation you have to assess. Yes.
another example of when you can use Emergency Plus as well, because you're not going to go on Google and find out where you're calling from. Emergency Plus, you have the location there. So
The other place people might, and this happens quite a bit in the suburbs, people drive to the police station if they've been followed or if they've witnessed or been a victim of a road rage incident or attempted carjacking. All these things can happen. So police stations, you can drive into other busy areas, could be like a fast food parking lot or a shopping centre. You want to try and find where there's going to be people there, not just a car park where there's no one around. So that's where police stations are good. Other popular places, shopping strips where there's lots of people that can help you as well.
Yeah. So to sum it all up for our crime prevention series, one or two questions, small questions and brief answers, please. When is the use of self-defense legally acceptable in Victoria? I mean, I know we have discussed this again, but if you could just touch upon it a little bit.
It's a last resort. Self-defense, everyone's got a right to defend themselves. And as we say, your main aim would be to stop the threat and get away. You don't want to be engaging in violence. If you do need to defend yourself, you can't carry a weapon, but you can use everything that you use for everyday life. You can use deodorant, your cup, your rolled up paper. You can use an umbrella, your keys. Often say when you're coming to your car late at night, make sure you got your keys and it's sticking out. So that could be used as a weapon if you need to defend yourself. But as we say, it's a last resort because you don't know what skills that person has. They may be affected by drugs, and your main aim is to push that person away or to stop them so you can escape and get help and call police. So you can do it, but it's an absolute last resort.
Yeah. And also to summarize again, what are the different ways members of public can report matters to police?
Yep, so 000 is for emergencies, and again, make that decision of when the best time is to do that. So if you're in the middle of an intersection, that might not be the best. Take yourself out of that environment, just take a step back and then call 000 when it's safe to do so. 131 444 is for non-emergencies, so when you need police but not the sirens. You can phone that number, but you can also go online and report instances such as criminal damage, theft, lost property or absences from your premises. If you're going away, you can report all of those things either 131 444 or online. Crime Stoppers is another one. They're a not-for-profit outside of Victoria Police, so they will, if you want to remain anonymous, they will take your information and then share it to police, but nothing that identifies you is shared across. It's really important to note that. There's other ways that you can report different types of crime, which we'll cover in later episodes.
you can go to the police website as well and then report it online. That's another way of doing it as well. These are the main ways of reporting matters to police here.
Thank you very much for this very important and very informative series. And thank you for your time. I hope the community has learned a lot how to keep safe in different scenarios, at home, vehicles, personal safety. And yes, thanks a lot again.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for listening in. I hope you have got a lot of information out of these 3 episodes of crime prevention. If there are any further questions, please, you are welcome to email us at help@indiancare.org.au. Thank you, and we will come back again with a new topic next time.